Patrick.
Nice to meet you, Roberto.
Nice to meet you too. Yesterday you were saying something really, really important. What is an emotion and how can we relate that idea, heart of what is an emotion, with AI?
Yeah. So what is an emotion? It might be the question that humanity has had a long time ago and still has, and it's very difficult because when we say an emotion is happiness, fear, anger, and stuff, it's a word, yeah. But basically, when we dig deeper into the concept of emotion, so that what stands behind the word, and the concept is again a word, but the concept might describe the components of the emotion, like that what I feel, what I do, what I have as an experience, all connected to that little word. Yeah, we are saying. This is what we are investigating in my group. And we are not saying that the emotion is a pattern that can be, let's say, identified in voice or the face. We are looking at all the components, the neurological components, the physiological components, the experience, which is mostly that what drives us, the action tendency, and so on. And AI has the potential to help us understand which is the most important component of an emotion. Yeah, for example, when I experienced fear, this might be, let's say, one important component might be the arousal. Yeah, might be. But for some people, other components might be important too, like the gut feeling or the hairs that are, let's say, in the neck. Yeah.
Well, right now I'm talking to you, and I have in my mind that presentation that you have human to human relationship, and in my mind I have my own perspective of myself.
Yeah, sure.
My awareness of the situation.
Yeah.
And you are a human, and so I'm assuming too that you have the same counterpart of who you are and your context.
Yeah.
But once we are relating not human to human, but human to machine and human to an agent, it changes completely.
Yeah.
And that part, it will be, well, not completely, but it's not the same awareness.
Yeah.
That
I'm not sure if it changes completely, but to understand why we are focusing on emotion in my group, for example, I think we have to understand what are the functions of emotions. Yeah. And when we are exploring and talking with disciplines that have a longer tradition in investigating that concept, like psychology, like anthropology, and so on, we figured that emotion occur to tell us something. So emotions are basically information, yeah, information that guide us in the inside, but also lets us connect to others and regulate relationship. So we came up with that model that directly, let's say, connects this information to social relationship. And this is what I think we should investigate when we are, let's say, try to recognize emotion, which is not possible, I think. But what we can do is we can try to simulate experience and components of emotion.
what practical effect does it have, that knowledge, that studying, that research concerning emotions towards all this phenomenon of AI?
I didn't get the question.
We have this idea of emotions like something really human.
Yeah.
And how do we relate that with the phenomenon of AI?
Yeah. So that's a difficult question because we are human beings. We experience something. I'm not so convinced that technology can experience something. And this is different, yeah? This is the core difference between those two things, yeah? Human beings and technology. So, but technology can simulate the, let's say, surface, or that what humans can let's say, send out or convey or emit. Yeah, and when we do it in a way reflecting the core inner processes and the components of the emotions that humans have, we get a much more convincing simulation that we can exploit for, let's say, an individualized assistance and support. And this is the goal, basically.
I'm 100% convinced that the world should be multidisciplinary, and this is an area where we see that not only computer science but also legal theory, neurosciences, and sociology, anthropologists.
Yeah.
Do you think that human race from this moment on are going to have some changes in the way we interact, and definitely there is a after and before this phenomenon?
I'm pretty sure that AI will have an impact on, in Germany we have the concept of Menschenbild, the image of human being, yeah? So the concept of what makes a human human. And AI is kind of a disruptive technology that lets us, let's say, distinguish more, yeah, and represent more. And as we can exploit it in an interdisciplinary team, putting several, let's say, perspectives into that, let's say, I would not say a deep learning model, but I would say a neuro-explicit model that is better able to explain how the connections between, let's say, facial expressions, bodily movements, but also inner experience is. Then this can be used and will be used as a reflective tool, a tool that helps us reflect upon ourselves.
So we will learn more about ourselves within
sure.
this. I'm pretty sure too. I'm telling you, I'm gonna do a follow-up of your work. I really enjoy it. I have took some notice of it, and to see how to apply those reflections towards legal thinking. Because the idea of regulation, legislation, I know that it has to change from the traditional perspective of imposition for creating our own normative system, probably besides the political creation.
You're right. I'm with you. I'm looking forward to it. I would even propose a thing that we need ethics 2.0.
Yes.
Yeah. When you think about that, what I've presented, that we need to, let's say, think about the inner processes involved in that what we, let's say about emotions. We also have to think about what social norms we have in our system. And I said basically with that model that every person has a different moral system.
And that moral and that ethic cannot be imposed. That's the idea of the legal norm as a political product of the states.
Yeah.
And that's an issue because coming from the legal perspective and legal thought and legal culture, we have that, let's say, strong idea that the state and regulators are those that have to put the rules. Instead, that have to come from within the labs, from within the project, from within the principles that rule the project.
Yeah, you are right. Take the EU AI Act. Yeah, I mean it's a recommendation. It's not a law. But in the recommendation, there's something specifically mentioned that you cannot use emotion recognition, for example, in schools. Yeah, which is fine with me because there is no emotion recognition. That is not possible from my point of view, as I try to explain it to you. And the thing is, but when you write something down in a recommendation, you should not do, let's say, emotion recognition. Then you need to explain what is the concept behind emotion. And I've talked to legal persons, and they said to me, it's quite easy, you know. You detect a pattern in the face and in the voice, or maybe in the chest.
And you put it in the legal norm, and you apply the norm.
Exactly.
That's what they say.
Yeah, but there is a huge mechanism in each human being, and that is called emotion regulation. So that what we are emitting is not that what we are feeling in the inside. So this is not a one-to-one mapping, and we have to take this into account.
That's a big challenge. That's a big challenge, and it's a major challenge in traditional legal thinking.
Yeah.
Because the idea that the mandate, the idea that the order, and the idea that the regulations have to be imposed and have to be reinforced and reinforced by the, let's say, state institutions, it's sometimes against or in counter way of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And that's my approach to all of this. I'm taking notice, and you may imagine how in the traditional sectors they look at me like, heresy. but it's interesting, and what I'm doing is I'm coming beside your approach in order to take notice. And well, Patrick, nice to have this conversation, and we hope that
really
we
nice.
can read more and learn more about this emotion and how can be an emotional-driven normative besides the creation of political legislation.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Thank you too again. Bye bye.